Jesus said, worship only God. Well, good morning. Happy New Year. Welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. And you can find a different command of Jesus every weekday at our Bible plan at bible.today.church. It's a weekday Bible plan that we call the 260 plan, and today is day 260. We're about to wrap up 2021, and we'll be starting fresh in the new year. So I would encourage you to check that out. These Jesus Said segments, the 755 Live, are just soundbite versions with about a few minutes of commentary on what Jesus said to help us to do what he commanded, which was to go make disciples by teaching them to obey all the things that I commanded you. And today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 4:10, where Jesus said, worship only God. He was talking to the adversary, the enemy, the devil, as Jesus was in the wilderness after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He was being tempted by Satan himself. And Jesus replied to him in verse 10, go away, Satan, for it is written, you are to worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Now, the devil had tempted Jesus in several ways, using Scripture, twisting Scripture, actually. In fact, if you look at the Scriptures that the devil quoted, he skipped some things, he took some things out of context, and Jesus always replied, it is written. And then the devil tempted Jesus with this, and this is what caused the response that we have the Jesus Said from today, worship only God. Verse 8 of Matthew 4, again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their grandeur. And he said to him, I will give you all these things if you throw yourself to the ground and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, go away, Satan, for it is written, you are to worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Then the devil left him, and angels came and began ministering to his needs. The adversary said, I'll give you everything if you will just lower yourself and worship me. And Jesus' reply, it is written, worship only God. If there ever was an instance of spiritual warfare, this is it. We sometimes hear a lot about spiritual warfare in our world today, and it's very real. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We are a part of a kingdom that cannot be seen, and so we do fight spiritual forces. But how did Jesus fight those forces? Well, facing the devil himself, he fought with, it is written. And then just Jesus quoted something from Deuteronomy. We're going to read a little part of that today. Deuteronomy 6, verse 10 says, when the Lord your God brings you to the land he promised your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, a land with large, fine cities you did not build, houses filled with choice things you did not accumulate. And he goes on to talk about the great things that were there. And the point here is God is saying, when you have a lot, when you see the promises, be careful not to take credit for you. Verse 15 says, because God is an angry and jealous God whose anger will erupt against you and remove you from the land if you don't serve God only. Verse 11 of Deuteronomy 8, he says, be sure, do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, ordinances, and statutes that I am giving you today. When you eat your fill, and when you build and occupy good houses, when your cattle and flocks increase, when you have plenty of silver and gold, and when you have abundance of everything, be sure that you do not feel self-important and forget the Lord your God who brought you from the land of Egypt, your place of slavery. Be careful not to say, my own ability and skill have gotten me this wealth. You must remember the Lord your God, for he is the one who gives you ability to get wealth. Jesus said, worship only God. No matter how good things are, no matter how blessed we seem to be, we can never take credit for it, because all good things come from God. The world will try to tempt us just like the adversary does. Just compromise a little bit. Just bow down and look at all of the things that you can have. But Jesus gave us the prime example of how to fight that spiritual battle. It is written. Jesus said, worship only God. How can we put that into action today? Well, not just today, in the new year. Happy New Year.